So, welcome all. We've just started a minute early, but I think it's good that we can start with a brief introduction so that we save some time at the later half of our course. Right. So, this will be our fifth problem solving session. And as you're all aware, that we have already completed around four sessions as of now, and we are now heading towards our fifth session. So just give me a minute. I'll also join via WhatsApp so that we are all aware of the things around. Mm. So the intent of me joining as well in the call is that I get to know whenever there is a disruption in the right. So I am aware of when there is a disruption um, in the network flow, and it helps me understand the scheme of things and take a pause or rejoin the meeting. And that's where I also join with my personal Gmail account. And so I'll soon be sharing my screen for the week 5. But let me tell you about what all we have covered by this time. So the course is understanding incubation and entrepreneurship. Now, incubation, I think most of you are now clear about what incubation is, what entrepreneurship is. Uh, Now, incubation and incubator, these are the terms which were originally, we are more familiar with being associated with the medical field, wherein there is a incubator in NICU, which is neonatal ICU, and the purpose of an incubator is to provide the required help, support, and conducive conditions so that the newborn, the child, can actually survive, can build upon health. So that period is a bit critical period, and that's where hand-holding support and thorough monitoring and all those things are required. And that's where the incubators and incubation term has been taken up from. In the entrepreneurship, the basic essence is still the same, wherein startups can be seen as newborn childs right now. So it's a very interesting metaphor, but I think it makes sense because there is an idea which has just born, and there is a team which has just been formed, and if you don't provide the right kind of environment, the right kind of handholding, the right kind of monitoring and the support, you know your brainchild, your idea might not see the light of the day. And that's where incubators have been set up. So there are many incubators. Even in the this particular course, we have seen there are a lot of hand-holding mentoring facilities, incubators who actually help these startups. Now, one can say that whether they provide financial support. However, the incubators are primarily oriented in uh, helping your team success, helping your idea success by identifying the right problem. They help you immerse in your domain area. Intensive customer validation is something they actually guide you with, and they help you validate whatever proposed solution you have or proposed area of intervention you are having. Once that validation is done, then they probably help you connect with a lot of supports, whether it is their alumni support or whether it is with respect to connecting with the right funders. So every incubator has their own set of rules, their own set of policies, framework, uh, the approach towards design, which you'll also see in today's session, which is the week 5, wherein Dr. Ravi was talking about 4Ds, right? And In the content recap, we'll see how and what are the 4Ds which he's referring to. Although in a design thinking process, we also have 4Ds, which is discover, design, develop, deliver. And some of these Ds are also the same in this particular approach, which Dr. Ravi is mentioning about. And we'll see in due course. And that's there in the presentation today, and you'll be able to understand that pretty easily. Now, double diamond is another design thinking process. That's why it's called double diamond. There is 4Ds in it, and there is Stanford design process, and there is the seven concerns which is being shared by Professor Chakku, which we have already seen in probably the previous video content lectures, the process of innovation, right? And all those things have been made to understand by different case studies, right from the post box case study to the design of water filter bottles for the CRPF Jawans. So these case studies actually help you understand the basic essence, the approach, and it helps you understand better, obviously, because when you go through the case study module, what were the approaches, how there was redesign. And one of the very, very favorite example of Professor Chakku sir is the Palki project, which saw so many interventions, so many design iterations, and then finally coming out to their final design. And you can also see how collaboration is so much critical in terms of coming out with the right solution. So the Palki project in itself is a very, very good example of that, wherein they collaborated with different institutions, where the principal scientific advisor from the Prime Minister's office, he was basically taking up the heads up, and Niti, which is now NITI, which is now IIM Mumbai, was also an active contributor to the entire Palki design project. And then there was DIC headed by Professor Chakravarti, and they all collaborated. They discussed with the porters. They brought in porters to the NITI office, wherein they were evaluated for ergonomic assessments, and how what kind of musculoskeletal disorders are basically forming up by regular use of Palki, on their body. So all those testings and things were done, and they realized that the weight of Palki is something which is very critical, and they have to cut down it, because that's the real problem area which they thought. And that's where the Katra Shrine Board took this as an interesting project, and they did the intervention. And so happy to see that the intervention has been implemented with the aim of reducing the drudgery of the porters by reducing the weight, by changing the materials, and doing analysis on the structure, so that the structure is more suitable, more durable, right? So all these examples have actually helped in the reinforced learning towards understanding incubation and entrepreneurship. So with that brief primer and brief information about the course, and past video contents, we'll begin our session. So I'll share my screen. So I hope my screen is visible. Just give me a minute. I'll just check whether it is properly being shared. Okay. So, once again, welcome to all our learners. We are entering the week five. It's a 12-week long journey, and we have completed till week four in the previous week. The course is Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. Course instructor is Professor V.K. Chakravarti, sir. And today we have the week five live session on 22nd Feb. I'll be introducing very briefly about myself. My name is Abhishek Srivastava, and currently I'm a research scholar at the Department of Design, IIT Roorkee. And right now I've just started my fourth year of study. And prior to that, my undergraduate program was Bachelor's of Architecture, which is BR course. It's a 5 year course. Interestingly, today is the week five. So I completed that course from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. It's a central government institute which has architecture program. And right after my undergraduation, I proceeded with my post graduation, which was in Master of Industrial Design MDes degree. It's a 2 year course. And to completing that, I joined as a user interface designer at Infosys, which is an IT company in Bangalore. And I stayed there for around 2.5, 3 years. And after that, I joined another design studio, which is called Think Design. It's also doing a lot of work in user interface domain. And I worked there for some time. And then I realized that probably I would want to explore the entrepreneurship. So me and my partner, we started our design consultancy. It was primarily around upcycling, and we were also doing design consultancy. We were taking on projects, and we sailed our journey of entrepreneurship for around 3 years. And parallelly, I started teaching as well as a design educator. So I taught at Department of Design at SPA Delhi. After that, I joined World University of Design in Sonipat. It's a state private university. And after that, I joined Uttar Pradesh Institute of Design, which is a state government institute. And after having around 8.5, 9 years of work experience, I realized that probably I need to do more research. So I took a break, and I started my doctoral journey. And then I joined the IIT Roorkee as a research scholar in the Department of Design. So that is a brief profile of me. Now, why am I taking the live session? So I've been provided the fellowship, which is the PMRF, Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, and we have a mandate to teach once in a week. And luckily, NPTEL as a platform offers that facilitation wherein we can utilize the teaching mandate in terms of taking up one of the NPTEL course and conducting the live sessions with the learners who are enrolled in the course. Right. So that's where I am the TA for this particular course, Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. And I've been taking up this course for quite some time now. So this is my third tenure with this particular course. And the previous learners have learned a lot from this particular course. And I sincerely hope that learners of this particular course who have enrolled this time will also take the maximum benefit, and whatever their intent outcome motivation is, they'll perform very well and pass the examination with the flying colors, right? So let's proceed with our fifth session today. All right. So these sessions are live sessions, which are here to help you in the current run of course. What do you mean by current run of course? So every week we meet, and this is the week five, and we'll be discussing the week five content, right? We shall discuss and solve week specific assignments. Now, before we go further in these particular slides, I would like to remind you that we follow tech of protocol slides, what I call. Okay, protocol slides, and these slides are common slides which I begin with in each and every session, right? And the idea is that, in fact, the aim is that let the learner learn even if the learner is joining only one class. So learner has been given the highest priority in this particular NPTEL platform. So we believe that a learner can join in right from week 1 to week 12, or suddenly in one of the classes, or probably in the last class, right? So irrespective of their joining, we follow a certain slide deck so that even if the learner is joining for just one class in the entire 12-week duration, that learner is able to gain much more, right? The equal amount of information that is required, irrespective. I mean, obviously, there is an outlier, which is the set of 10 questions, which will be different. Then the protocol slides, the marking criteria, the certification criteria, and all those things, all those informations are repeated each and every slide. So initial like 10 to 15 minutes are dedicated to this particular, flow of protocol slides. What we have next is the brief recap of week wise week wise. So right from week 1 to week 5, we'll be doing a brief recap. And then this is followed by the content recap. Now, this again is based on my experience, because what I've realized that many a times the learners don't get sufficient time to go through the content. And when I pose those set of 10 questions, it becomes really hard for them to actually attempt that questions. So the moment we do content recap, what happens is that they are able to understand, some parts of it, some bits of it, because this is more like a visual summary. So what do we mean by visual summary? It's basically a collation of snapshots. Now these snapshots are taken from the video content itself. So we do have that snippets of the video content, which we arrange in a form of slides, collate them, and present it as a visual summary. So visuals are better to retain. And even if you have not gone through the content, through the visual summary, I believe that you will be able to answer most of the questions in this particular session today. Right. So that is what is we follow. This is then followed by the set of 10 questions, which you can also see here is a set of 10 questions. And we have written other than the live assignment. Why? Because live assignments are there for your assessment. However, these set of 10 questions are for your broadening your understanding base. So, to help you evaluate yourself with respect to the kind of learning you have had in this particular week, and we try to help you by going through the course, going through the set of new 10 questions which are different from the live assignment, to help you assess yourself that what kind of understanding you have had in this particular week, right? Obviously you can respond to the questions and queries. We respond to that. So whether you have posted the question on discussion forum, or if it is in Gmeet session, or if it is on the chat box, whichever form you speak, or it is a verbal question, we try to address these, we discuss them, we think aloud, and we try to address this so that our understanding is better in the course. Like I mentioned, we also do a content recap of the ongoing week, right? So which means that we'll be doing it for the week 5. I must tell you that week 6 content is also released yesterday. So just for your information, it is released. So the content, the assignments are all live. If you have been diligent enough, if you are actually following it, and you have submitted for the week 5, you can proceed with the week 6. We'll proceed further now. Let's keep it. I'll just check the recordings going. Yeah, that's fine. Right. Okay. Going further in our set of protocol slides. During the live session, we expect everybody to please keep your mic on mute because we are recording the session, and these all sessions are being recorded and uploaded at a certain YouTube repository. And we also want to avoid any unnecessary noise disturbances so that the audio quality is better. And whenever you are going through the live session recording, it is convenient for you to understand. You may unmute to speak if you have any questions or while responding to the questions. So that is always there. Uh, During the session, it's requested that you keep your mic on mute. But if you have a question, if you have a query, or when we are doing the set of 10 questions, you can unmute yourself and you can speak up. So that's perfectly fine. For the questions, kindly post in discussion forum. Now, the discussion forum is a very interesting functionality, and you can utilize that by clicking on Ask a Question tab. Many of the learners have actually used this functionality, and I believe that if you are also a learner in this particular course, you're a registered user, then probably you would have also received certain emails via discussion forum. All right. And how this functionality helps is that it contains different stakeholders. So one is the NPTEL team members, then you have the registered learners, and then you have me as a TA, right? So the moment any of the learner post a question, we all three get notified about it, and all the fellow learners are also notified about it, right? And how it helps me is that the moment I reply to a particular question, I can do reply all, and everybody can actually get notified about it. So it's a very centralized way of posting a query and getting a reply. And I think uh, there is always a possibility wherein you might have had a query which might be there in your fellow learners, and they also get the benefit of you asking the question. All right. So I would suggest to please utilize this functionality. Many of the learners have used it, and I've also responded to many of them. And you can also utilize the same, right? The screen which you see is a snapshot of your login page. The moment you log in, you will be able to see this kind of a screen. The announcement section is important because all the important announcements are in this particular section, right from the week-wise content, the solution key, and going further, the information about the hall ticket examination, all those things you'll be able to understand through the announcement section. Then comes the about the course, which is in having the week-wise content. Just give me a minute, huh? And then you have the progress section. The progress bar is basically about how you are performing, how you are progressing. It includes both aspects of the course content, how much course content you have gone through, and the second aspect is the marks. So every week there is a assignment, and how you perform in that assignment, you get to understand from the marking of it, right? This is the tab wherein you can register for the examination. If you have not done, please do it, because if you have enrolled in this particular course from a certification criteria, from a credit perspective, that is a mandatory thing. You will have to register for the examination. Okay. So like I said that, these sessions are being recorded. So these recordings are available in my YouTube channel, and it is something which the NPTEL has mandated, so that, if the learners might be busy, might have a certain kind of engagement, professional or academic, and that's where it helps to understand that, right? So these recordings are available in this particular link, and likewise, all the presentations, which are basically in the PPT form, are converted into PDF forms, and then these are uploaded on Google Drive, Google Share Drive, right? This is the link below. Now you don't have to recall and remember these two links, because there is something called as problem solving session, which is like here. And when you click here in this particular link, it leads you to a page which says click here. And the moment you click here, it will lead you to a spreadsheet, which is basically in an Excel format. And it will have week-wise content. 1, 2, 3, 4, and likewise. And then there will be YouTube links available for each. However, the presentations are uploaded in a common folder in the Google Drive. So that link will also be visible, and I'll show that in the once the session is over. Once the PPT is completed, we'll have a look at that portal in the NPTEL portal. Right. So this is the course, Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. Course instructor is Professor V.K. Chakravarti sir, who is from the IDC School of Design, which is at anyone? IIT Bombay. Initially, he was working at the IDBC at IIT Delhi, and he also has important role in the Design Innovation Center at IIT Bombay, and currently he is setting up the Mahindra University. Not specifically that, but a school of design there. Right? Right. It's a 12-week course. We are currently in week 5. We have 7 more sessions to go, and there could be plus one extra session. The deadline for week 5 assignment is 26th of Feb.
You still have 4 days to go. If you're not done, please submit it by next 4 days. Sure. The final examination is due on 27th of April. It will be conducted either in the pre-lunch slot or the post-lunch slot. And these will be conducted in a exam center in an offline mode. What do you mean by offline mode? Basically, the same mode in which your board examinations have happened. Board exams, your university exams happen, and your entrance exams happen. The same format applies here. You'll be getting a admit card, and you'll be making entry to the exam center. So whether you call it admit card, you call it hall ticket, it's one the same thing. And depending on the choices you give for the venue, you'll be allotted one examination center. All right. And then you'll have to go and you have to, submit your uh, paper there. So this is the screen of progress. And you see the unit wise progress. So whatever things you see in blue is basically the content you have already gone through. What remains in gray is basically the incompleted or the pending content. If it is full, which means that you have already gone through the content. Assessment core is the section. So if you have been submitting your assignments, your scores would have been visible. All right. This will be probably in out of 10 or out of 100. And weightage wise, we'll see how, it adds up. Now the course is free to learn from, and anybody can actually enroll in the course and learn from the course. But if you want a certificate, you will have to. You'll have to pay some amount. Okay. And that fee is basically exam fee. And till 24th of Feb, which is a couple of days from now, it will be like 1,000 rupees per examination. And it might increase till 28th of Feb with a late fee aspect. Okay. The last day of exam registration is Feb 28th, which is this month. Okay. So it is only this month that the exam will be registration will be allowed, and after that it will be halted. In the past few course durations, we have seen the extension, but I wish that if you are genuinely into getting the credit or certification, please do not wait for the extension. Okay. Also, there is a fee waiver, approximately 50% fee waiver for those belonging to the SSC category and PWD category, which is people with disability. And obviously, you'll have to submit a proof, and then only you can avail that kind of fee waiver. Criteria to gain a certificate. So this is an important slide, and I'll just take a minute to help you understand, what it is. Okay, so what do you mean by internals? All your week-wise assignments. Week-wise assignments. So there are total from week 1 to week 12. So there are 12 assignments, but we consider the best 8. So the best 8 performances will be considered while evaluating your average assignment score. And the weightage is 25%. The external, which is offline exam, happens at a physical exam center, and that's why it gains more weightage, 75%. And these both together form your overall score, which is out of 100%. Okay. Now, final score is the sum of 25% weighted and 75% weightage. And if you see, there are individual criteria to gain certificate, which means your this score needs to be greater than 125. It needs to be greater than 30 out of 75, so that eventually this is greater than 40 out of 100. Now let's take the scenarios which are critical. Now scenario 1 is you get 20 out of 25, you get 25 out of 75. So your total is. So will you get a certificate? No, because you are meeting this criteria, but you are failing on this criteria, which needs to be more than 30, although you have met this criteria, right? Let's take the other scenario. You did not score well here, but you scored extremely well in the. So you're meeting this criteria, you have done great in this criteria, but you have not met this criteria. So means no certificate in both the scenarios. So which eventually means that you need to perform well in both internals and externals. All right, let's proceed further. This is the week-wise review. It's a brief view of what has been covered. If you see from the week 1, we started with introduction to entrepreneurship, then GTC, STEM colleges, why startups fail, lean startup, and then journey of Mr. Dinoj. Then came week 2, wherein we understood hand holding of entrepreneurship, journey of Mustafa, who is from the ID Batter group. Then the panel discussion with Anurag, Amit, and Mayuri, who were all a part of GTC programs. In the week 3, it was about methodology for innovation, where we understood Chaku's 7 concerns, starting with the cause to connect, team building, problem statement representation. In the week 4, the content talked about ideas program by Desai City School of Entrepreneurship, Solar Urban case study by Mr. Abhinash, who was an IIT Bombay alumni. Then IIT Hyderabad student projects. These are all MDes, which means Master of Design students, basically around customer discovery. And then on the week 5, what we see is healthcare and innovation, medtech stories, innovation process, all by Professor Ravi. And then there is ALM, which stands for additional learning material. So if you get time, you've got leisure time, you want to learn more, you want to, deep dive. These are a great place to understand and read about. So whenever you get time, read about them. Okay. So there are two typology of question. One which has a single correct answer and one which has multiple correct answers. So which means on the question of what paratha I want, I have to select just one. So I can just select one of them. I cannot select more than one. But if I am asked questions which have square shapes, which are the multi-correct answer, I will have the choice of selecting more than one. Okay. So what do you want in your burger? I probably can write I want cheese, I want tomato, I can have cucumber, or I can have all four of them. Right? So that's the difference between the two questions. So this is typically depicted by a circular shape, which are called radio buttons. And then you have square shape, which are multiple correct answer. So the marking of multiple choice questions. Again, this is a very interesting slide, and let's take a bit of time to understand this. I would request you to please read it by the time I just take an example and I help you out. Okay. The question is, which among the following are Indian singers? Now, this is a very basic question. It is not relevant to our week's content. It is mostly to help you understand the marking pattern. All right. So the correct answer for this question would be A, B, and C. So Indian singers are Lata Mangeshkar, Sunidhi Chauhan, and Shreya Ghoshal. KL Rahul is an Indian cricketer. He's not a singer, right? All right. So let's take the scenarios. I hope everybody has gone through. Okay, you can take a minute. Just take a minute to read the three sentences. All right, take a minute. Option one, option two, and option three. Okay. So let's start with option one. It is basically scenario one. If all the options chosen by the student are correct and no incorrect answer is chosen, then full marks. So if I select A, B, and C and I submit it, I'll get full marks. Let's take option two. If at least one incorrect answer has been chosen, then no marks. So, which means that if we select A, B, and D, if I select B, C, and D, or if I select A, D, B, D, or C, D, since I've selected D, which is not the correct answer, I'll not get any marks, 0 marks. Let's take scenario 3. If only correct answers are chosen, but not all correct answers have been chosen, then partial marks proportional to the number of correct answers chosen are awarded. Which basically means that if you select A, B and submit, B, C and submit, A, C and submit, or if you select A only, B only, C only, you might get 0.66, 0.33. Now, this is proportional to the number of correct answers you have chosen, and you might see your marks in decimal, which is because of the proportionate marking criteria, right? So these are the people who have been pretty consistent, and congratulations to our previous learners from week 4 for being consistent. The live sessions. Let's proceed further. Right. So now we are heading towards the content recap. Okay. So this was module 5. It was about biomed innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay. Biomed is biomedical. Okay. So he's Professor B. Ravi, which we were talking about, and he's the head of DSSE, which is the Desai City School of Entrepreneurship, and it's at IIT from Bombay, right? So he heads the DSSE at IIT Bombay. And then you have Batik, which is the Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. So let's write it down properly. So that is how the BITIC stands for Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. And you see there's Professor Ravi, is Dr. Rupesh. We saw him in the previous session. And these are basically the Noj and the other members who are there in the team. Mr. Milton Varghese from the Nelson Mandela School, South Africa. And we can see how talented Professor Ravi is and what kind of worth of experience he's bringing to this particular course. He has involvement in more than 300 invited talks, and if I could recall, there were more than 30 patents to his name, to his honor, and getting to learn from Professor B. Ravi is something which is tremendous in terms of learning. So this is Professor Ravi B. Ravi talking in the week 5 content. And these are some of the stories from the boutique. And what you see here is basically a device called as Smart Stethoscope. And the startup name is IOLink. So its entire talk has been divided into four heads, which is healthcare and innovation. Second is the medtech stories, which he talks about the smart stethoscope. Third is the innovation process. Remember, I mentioned about the 4Ds. And then you have the best practices, the innovation pipeline, and the entire ecosystem of fatigue. And he basically starts with kind of product innovation which we have had in India. And this is especially in the context of COVID, where people found unique ways of doing things. If somebody using a laptop for shaving, a school teacher using household items to create makeshift mobile holder for the online classes. If you see, that's basically a hanger in which you hang clothes. And these are the strings attached to it. And this is attached by the rubber band or stiffener. And then there's this milkman who is using PVC pipes for the delivery of milk and maintaining social distance. And then a man using steam from the pressure cooker. Where is it? Let me take a different color. Color is not visible. This is the pressure cooker, and this is the steam, and this is the pipe. So this is how the steam is going and sanitizing the vegetables during the COVID time. And then he gave the example of how we can work together in terms of finance and intellectual abilities so that we can have Durga, which uh, has a consolidated aspect of Goddess Saraswati and Goddess Lakshmi. And these were the valleys of death in the product innovation cycle, as explained by Professor B. Ravi. Just a minute, yeah. So if you see what are the valleys of death, these are the valleys of death. You see here the valleys. These are called valleys of death. Why have we used the term valleys of death? Because if the idea has not been able to move forward, then it automatically falls on the valley of death, right? So these are the various stages, and starting with the concept stage to the POC. Anybody can tell what POC is? POC क्या होता है? Proof of concept. Then you have the prototype stage, followed by the product stage and the market stage. And what you see here is TRL, which is technology readiness level. So right from TRL1, which is the conceptual stage, till 9, where it is there in the market, That's the TRL levels. How much your innovation or your concept or your idea is ready from a technology standpoint, from the adoption standpoint. Okay. These are the 17 SDGs. It's called the Satat Vikas Laksh Sustainable Development Goals, which is Satat Vikas Laksh. I'm thinking these includes no poverty, zero hunger, decent work and economic growth, quality education, good health, well-being, gender equality, and likewise, all the 17 goals are listed down. And as we are looking at the content recap, this is how the medical devices have evolved over a period of time. And a condition can occur with respect to accident, birth defects, cancer, and diseases, wherein you go to the hospital, you get your diagnosis, and then the medical devices are there to aid in the treatment process, considering and depending upon the kind of ailment or disease you are having. So, medical devices can broadly be categorized into diagnostic and treatment based. This is a broad category, but there are classifications, many classifications as per WHO, European standards, and right. So, this is what Dr. Ravi mentioned about in his content. So, diagnostic one includes screening devices, monitoring devices, and diagnostic devices. The treatment ones include surgical instruments, the life support, like what you have, ventilators, and then assistance like the prosthetics. If you have damage to one of the limbs, you can have prosthesis and exoskeletons as well. This is the risk classification. And if you see here, it starts from, let's take a different color, starts from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, finally class 4. As we move towards class 1 to class 4, what we see essentially is that the risk aspect is, sorry, I'll just take a different color because it's not that visible. Uh, if you see that these tend towards the low risk, and as you move from left to right, right, we move towards high risk. So these are class one, which includes thermometers, band-aids. These are pretty much non-invasive. Then comes your needles and syringes. Then comes your ventilator, bone fixation plates, and active devices, probably like pacemakers and implants, which are continuously being used, right? So, depending upon invasive, non-invasive, duration, long or short, passive or active, and then critical and non-critical, right? So the regulatory controls also increases as we move from the low risk to high risk. We suggested that if you are taking up entrepreneurship, it's better that you invest more on this particular aspect of low risk device. This is the bar chart which talks about the market, medical device market in the global and Asia level, right? And if you see here, this the gray part is of Asia, and within that, if you see, India is again the gray aspect, and if you see the forecast, we are going to have a considerable share by 2027. Right, we are running into 2025, and by the time we reach, we will be having a considerable medical device industry market. This is evident from here itself. The gray areas for the Asia, right? And this is with respect to the Indian context. Indian healthcare is the fifth largest employer. The Indian budget has allocated this many funds, and the device market is at $8 billion. And per capita expenditure is also being mentioned. And it's 4 o'clock. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple of few minutes break. Utilize it to just move around, settle down, take a pause, drink water, and let's get back in a few minutes, right? So we take that break because continuous and prolonged sitting is also not good for your health. And we are discussing the medical aspect. So essentially, we need to take care of this aspect as well, right? So we'll keep the session ongoing. And what I'll do is I'll just pause my camera and mic. However, we'll continue the presentation. Guessing all of you are back from your brief break. I hope I am audible. Great, great. We still have a few learners there. That's very good. Let's continue our class. So basically, what we are doing is we are just going through the content recap very quickly. The idea is that we get to understand what has happened up till now, and this slide basically explains the media device industry. You obviously you can learn more when you are going through the course content, right? And what are the market factors which are important? The push-pull factors with respect to the users, manufacturing, and distribution. Followed by Professor Ravi, who is talking in detail about the Betik Center at the IIT Bombay. I'll just have a quick check with the recording because that's another important aspect we have to take care of, right? And then Dr. Nambiraj, who basically was the trigger of this particular amazing solution, which is the smart stethoscope. So when he went to the, I think it was one of their hackathon, metathon, wherein he raised this issue that he gets confused when there is a sound of whether it is from the heart or it's from the lung, and how that basic problem led them to making this particular instrument. So they help from very different institutions, and we have got tapas from Dehradun, Nambiraj, Dr. Nambiraj, and then others. All of them, they met together. They came back to the and they met doctors and tried to understand the context. They did field visits, very thorough field visits, and so that's what market immersion is. And they realized while talking to the doctors that they need something which can help them enhance the sound of the heartbeat, noise cancelling, having volume control, archiving capability, basically meaning that the beats can be actually recorded so that they can be referred back to, right? Sharing by internet so that somebody sitting remote can actually see and hear the sound of the heartbeat, and then visual representation, which is basically seeing it, right? And this is how the stethoscope has evolved over a period of time. And you see that there's this POC, which is the proof of concept, and alpha, prototype, beta, and then the final product. So interesting. And the best part of the final product is that this attachment actually can be added upon the traditional stethoscope. So their innovation is so interesting that you bring a traditional stethoscope, you add this device, and you make it a smart stethoscope. So interesting. See, the overall offering they are giving is so interesting. And this is their app, mobile application, wherein they mentioned about visualizing the sound, wherein you can see that happening. And these are the lung sounds, recording the heart sounds, so all that is there. And this was the team which won the BIREC grant. It's a good amount of money, which is approximately 50 lakh. It's a great amount. And then the middle we have Dr. Rupesh, and then the two members, Tapan and the other member from the IULink team. This is how it works. So this is the device. You connect it to the traditional one, and there is a mobile app, and then you can hear the sound. This is one of the scenarios which they highlighted during the COVID period, wherein physical interaction was reduced, and that's where this device can actually could have created wonders, right? So, what are the most critical factor in the medtech success story? They had a large unmet need, and they had a breakthrough idea. They had a committed team members. So everybody was equally passionate and committed about it. And then you have the domain mentors, expert mentors. So mentoring is also very critical, right? Mentoring is also very critical. And then you have facilities and funds. So this is the 4D process which I was talking about. starts with define, develop, deliver, and deploy. Right. And this is the medical innovation process. If you see, you define the problem, you develop a solution, you deliver the product, and you deploy in the market. Right. And these are the various stages of the prototype. So they did all these things. They had a team, dedicated team. They went to the hospitals. They met a lot of doctors to understand the context. Yes. Sorry. And they asked the five W's and one H question, which is what, who, where, when, why, and how, for the smart stethoscope. And then they were able to frame the problem statement, which was a well-defined unmet need is the first step in the product innovation. Clear statement of the use in minimum words, right? And this is how they were giving an example that what is it that you want to make a portable cabinet to store the medicines in rural hospitals, right? Portable cabinet too. So they're defining the needs. Okay, define is basically functional requirement. And then we are talking about the divergent thinking and convergent thinking, which are important aspects of design thinking as well. Yes, I think these all you can understand in more detail when you're going through the content, the course content, because we like to head quickly towards our set of 10 questions. So, when we go into more high risk devices, these becomes very critical, which is the human clinical trials, the lab testing, and then this device certification, depending upon what kind of risk it belongs to, whether it is low, medium, or high, right? Yes. And this is Anish Karam who made the knee ankle foot orthosis, and they also filed a patent with Anish being the first person, and then Dr. Rupesh and Dr. Ravi for their knee ankle foot orthosis for weak knee patients. Okay, so they granted the patent for this as well. Yeah, very done. So, this is the deploy phase of it. And as you can see, uh, there are multiple aspects here as well, which includes intellectual property, right? Just take a minute to charge as well. So intellectual property comes in different aspects of design registration, patents, copyright, trademarks, and likewise. So depending upon kind of innovation you are coming up with, you can decide upon that. And then there is technology licensing. This is the business model canvas. You see, I think we have also seen through it multiple times. Key partners, activities, resources, value proposition, customer relations. So all these aspects, in one stop picture. It's basically a more kind of an overview. And how they were seeing Betic as. So Betic were seen as running partners for the medtech innovators. This was the Betic pipeline. Now this is very interesting because it starts with Medha, which is a medical device hackathon. It's a 2 day affair and it goes to Medic, which is 1 week. Then Betic, there is 1 year innovation fellowship. Then MEDEX, which is an exhibition and validation. There is a Science Business Incubator. BI stands for Business Incubator, and Medical Park is for the business expansion. You see here approximately 19 to 20 medic startup companies which are present here, right? And then the entire ecosystem, followed by the key stakeholders. Now, this is interesting because medtech ecosystem consists of academia, government, hospitals, as well as industry. All of them very interesting offerings to have because hospitals help you define the problem and do validation. Industry helps in manufacturing and marketing. Academia can offer incubator centers and academia can offer research and help in the development, whereas government can actually help with the funding as well as the regulation aspects. Right, and these are the additional learning materials, ALMs, the journey of pivoting and persisting, how the small garment manufacturing company pivoted to produce PPE kits and now sells globally. So this is again a very interesting example. This is about the Hula Global. Right. So we start with our set of 10 questions. Right. And the first question is according to Professor B. Ravi, Module 5, it is advisable for small startups to opt for which kind of device and for what reason. So, just small startups, the one which are small startups to opt for which kind of device? Is it high risk medical device, low risk medical device, active device, and handheld device? And you also what you see is the reason. So, high risk medical device because profit is high, low risk because investment is low, active device because it has a good value proposition, or handheld device which is easier to manage. Take your time and let me know what could be the right answer. Just read it multiple times and you will get to understand, what the right answer is. We are trying to understand what advice Professor Ravi suggested for the small startups, whether they have to go for high risk medical device, low risk ones, active devices, or handheld devices. I think we have got one vote. That's for option C. Okay. Let's see if anyone else would like to make a comment. Okay. Yes. Let's see the screen validation. Now, if you see, this is the risk classification of medical devices, and it starts with the low risk and it goes up to the high risk devices. Low risk means those who are non invasive, like the thermometers, the wheelchairs, to high risk, which are implants, pacemakers, which are active, which are within the body, and they have to be introduced through an invasive process. So whenever there will be an invasive process, it will require more regulations, more regulatory bodies. However, the initial phase, which is the screening devices, they are probably having a lower regulational control, right? So, low risk medical devices because the investment is low. Low risk इसीलिए बोलते हैं क्योंकि इन्वेस्टमेंट लो होता है और because you are at the beginning of your startup, you are a small startup and you cannot afford to have that kind of regulatory regulations and testings and those things in high risk devices, right? इसलिए low risk devices is much more better area to begin with. So the correct answer for this question is 1B, which is the two. If you are a small startup and you are beginning with, you can go for low risk medical devices because the investment is really low. So let's go to the second question. As mentioned in the module Biomed Innovation, which of these may be classified as a screening device? Is it the smart stethoscope? Is it the ventilator, oxygen concentrator, or all of the above? तो आपको बताना है कि स्क्रीनिंग डिवाइस क्या है इनमें से. Which of them are the screening device? It's very easy question. It's a very direct one. Take your time and let me know. Which among them is the screening device? इनमें से screening device कौन सा है? Is it the smart stethoscope? Is it the ventilator? Is it the oxygen concentrator? Or is it all of them? Take your time. Okay. Okay, so let's do screen validation and let's see what the correct answer is. So if you remember, the medical device classification was done on the basis of diagnosis and treatment. And within diagnosis, you had these screening devices, which are like the stethoscope. Monitoring includes glucometer and likewise. So the correct answer is smart stethoscope. All right. It's a screening device. क्या screen कर रहा है? Heartbeat. Okay, let's come to our third question. As discussed by Professor Ravi in the module Biomed Innovation, what are the four important stages of the medical device innovation process? आपको बताने हैं what are the चार प्रमुख चरण. Four important stages of the medical device innovation process. So take your time and let me know what could be the right answer. You can text on the Google chat and we'll see. Medical device innovation process के फोर इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेजेस हैं. व्हाट आर दो स्टेजेस? ओके, ये हमने डिस्कस भी किया है. इफ यू रिकॉल, वी हैव डिस्कस दिस इन आवर कंटेंट रिकैप एज वेल. Think about it and let me know. Okay, so let me know what think you have. Yes. क्या लगता है आपको, क्या सही जवाब हो सकता है? यू कैन प्लीज ड्रॉप इन अ कमेंट. Okay, okay, let's do the screen validation. We've got one word for this. Mhm. Okay, so the innovation process includes define, develop, deliver, and deploy. So define is wherein the doctor here is defining, Dr. Nambiraj is defining the problem. Develop is where you work on the prototype. Deliver is where you're delivering your product, and deploy is where you are actually using it in your field, the actual use case. So the correct answer is a very well done. Define, develop, deliver, and deploy. That's correct. Well done. Let's come to our fourth question. According to the module 5 by Professor P. Ravi, which of these is not a golden rule for defining the problem statement? Okay, so when you are defining a problem statement, what is it that is not a golden rule, which means which should not be followed, right? The options are: must not be vague, must include what, why, and who, must include the solution, and must go to the root cause. So you've got four options, and you have to tell which one is the correct, because there is only one correct answer in this. Which of these is not a golden rule? You've got one vote for must go to the root cause. Okay. तो इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि when you are defining a problem statement, what is it that should not be applied from this? इनमें से what should not be included? So when you are defining a problem statement, it should not be vague. Very true. It must include what, why, and who. We remember there were five whys and one how. Must include the solution, is it? And must go to the root cause. Okay, let's do the screen validation. Must include what, why, and who. I think this is very clear. Must not be vague. All right. Must not point to a solution. Okay, so the solution should not be evident. Should not be evident. Must go to the root cause. Else wrong problem gets solved. तो root cause भी जरूरी है, ये भी जरूरी है, ये भी जरूरी है, बस solution नहीं होना चाहिए. It should not point towards a solution because we are framing the problem statement, right? A well-defined unmet need is the first step in product innovation, right? So the correct answer for this question is option C. क्योंकि ideally it should not include the solution. With the golden rule, it should not include the solution. Let's go to our question number 5. As discussed in the module innovation process, BITIC, biomedical, the same thing, innovation, technology innovation center. Let's see, in BITIC, we have articulated it in a better way. I'm just referring to that slide. Yeah. Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. Yes. Okay. BITIC is, again, I'll just write. So the spelling is wrong here. That's why I got a little confused of this BITIC. Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. Okay. So that's my bad in the question framing. Yes. But BITIC is seen as dash. This is a blank, and you have to let me know what blank it is. For medtech innovators. Okay. As discussed in the module, the innovation process, BITEC is seen as dash for medtech innovators. Is it running partners? Is it investors? Is it support? Or is it none of the above? We've got one vote for running partners. BITEC is seen as dash for the medtech innovators. Medicine technology innovators. So how the BITEC is seen as is what you need to tell. Okay. Okay, let's do the screen validation. Biomedical engineering, let's see. So this is boutique and it is seen as the running partners. It's let me highlight it. If you recall, this is our was there in our screen validation and in the content recap as well. The correct answer is A, running partners, and our learners also have said the same thing. So well done. That's the correct choice. Let's go to the sixth question. In the Betic pipeline, the medical park is about what? If you remember, Betic pipeline थे, if you remember, it was more of a graphic like this. There were cylinders, right? Something like this. The pipeline, and we are talking about the last one, the medical park. Is it the exhibition? Is it the business expansion? Is it the business innovator? Or is it the all of the above? So we have got one vote for option C, which is the business incubator. If you remember, we had a lot of it started with I think Medha, which was a 2 day thing, which is the medical hackathon. And then gradually it progressed with the number of durations till 1 year and then further. And then I think sign was business incubator, I believe, the MedPark. Okay. So we are referring to the pipeline, and this was the graphic reference. Let's see the skin validation. This is the pipeline, and medical park is the one in the last. Where is it? It's here. This is medical park, and it is about business expansion. Business expansion. So it's if you see, it starts with Medha, which is the medical device hackathon. followed by Medic, which is the innovation camp, then the 1 year Medic fellowship. Medex is the exhibition and validation. Sign is the business incubator. Okay. Sign is the business incubator. However, medical path is the last one wherein you are doing the scaling up. Scale up करना मतलब बड़ा होना. Alright. बड़ा होना का मतलब there is an expansion which is happening and this is about the business expansion, which means that you are already into the business. Now you are trying to expand your services. Right. So the correct answer is B. Business expansion. Alright. Let's go to our seventh question. Complete the following according to B. Ravi. Dash. It is the plan. Are far cheaper to solve various health problems, especially in India. Yes. Is it the surgical equipments, hospital appliances, customized implants, or mass screening devices? We are referring to what are far cheaper to solve various health problems in India. सर्जिकल इक्विपमेंट्स यानी कि जो सर्जरी के लिए यूज होते हैं, हॉस्पिटल अप्लायंसेस अस्पताल में जो यूज होते हैं, इम्प्लांट्स और स्क्रीनिंग डिवाइस. सो सर्जरी वाले इक्विपमेंट्स, हॉस्पिटल अप्लायंसेस, कस्टमाइज्ड इम्प्लांट्स एंड मास स्क्रीनिंग डिवाइस. What should be the blank wherein these are far cheaper? Which among them are far cheaper? So surgical equipments might be very costly. It depends because कुछ pinpoint नहीं हुआ है. Are we referring to a blade or are we referring to something else? Hospital appliances may be very costly again. We are not very clear on that. Customized implants can also depend. So if it's a cochlear implant which is there in the ear, it might be very costly depending on the quality and type of it. However, if you remember, screening devices are something which are at the bottom of the low risk devices, right? वो bottom में होते हैं at the starting of low risk device classification. Let's do the screen validation. Basic screening devices, right? What is ideal sector for a med startup? These are the various areas. However, the correct answer is because mass screening devices are very cheap. So remember, we are talking about stethoscope. सस्ते आते हैं ना. हार्ट बीट सुनना है. ऑप्शन डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. Let's go to our eighth question. Which of these can be one of the key insights derived from the module Biomed Innovation by Professor B. Ravi? Which of these can be one of the key insights? हम key insights की बात कर रहे हैं. Is it the focus on innovation, focus on the end user, focus on the product, or focus on the business? Again, as per Professor, remember the context. Context बहुत important है. What are the key insights? We've got one vote for option A. Anyone else who would want to share their perspective? Anyone who would like to tell any further opinions? All right, all right. Let's take the screen validation. So we don't have very specific pinpoint screen, but if you refer to the YouTube link at the timestamp of 1622 in this particular video, you'll be able to see the correct answer, which is focusing on the end user. So entire customer validation talks about it, right? हम क्यों कर रहे हैं हम लोग बोल रहे हैं ना कस्टमर डिस्कवरी customer validation. We are using these types of terminology. Potential customers. Up till now, we have been using these terminologies because end user is very, very critical. So, it's very, very critical in the evidence based entrepreneurship. So, the correct answer is focus on the end user. All right. Let's come to our ninth question. According to Professor Ravi in Module 5, an ideal team structure is composed of. तो किसकी बात हो रही है? We are talking about the startup team structure. Options are interdisciplinary researchers, experienced mentors, end users, and visiting experts. Again, the context is according to Professor Ravi in his Module 5 content. Ideal team structure किसका बना होता है? Interdisciplinary researchers, experienced mentors, end users, or visiting experts. Now, do remember that it's a multiple correct answer question. So you still have time. You can let me know. You can vote. All right. We have got one vote for interdisciplinary researchers. Got one vote for experienced mentors as well, and one vote for end users. All right. All right. Let's see the screen validation. So this was the Betic ecosystem, right? And the ecosystem, one of the column head states team structure. If you see here, this is the team structure, and it is composed of interdisciplinary researchers, experienced mentors, facility managers, and visiting experts. Okay. Now, according to it, end users are not a part of team structure. It includes researchers, mentors, facility managers, and visiting experts. Now, the question can also be formed. For example, a question can be formed on the innovation culture, infrastructure, as well as procedures. So, I would suggest that please understand the boutique ecosystem and all these column heads, what all it includes, so that if a question comes up from this particular composition, you are also well ready for it. All right. So, let's mark out the correct answers. It's A, which is interdisciplinary researchers. What do you mean by interdisciplinary researchers? Anyone? What do we mean by it? Which means if you're working on a medtech startup, you might have a design researcher, somebody from a bio researcher, somebody who is from the mechanical team working on the gear part of it, right? Somebody who is from the electrical side of it, working upon the electrical aspect. So from different disciplines, right? Now let's go to our final question, which is our question number 10, the last question for today's session. Complete the following sentence as mentioned in the module 5 by Professor P. Ravi. Dash is the first step in the product innovation. We are talking about the first step. Yeah? So there are multiple steps, and we are talking about the first step. Is it well articulated solution, well conceptualized idea, well defined plan, or well defined unmet need? So again, it's a radio button question, which means only one correct answer. So we have got one vote for option B. Let's see. According to Professor Ravi, what is the first step of product innovation? यानी कि product innovation के तहत पहला कदम क्या होता है? First step. Is it the well articulated solution? Is it the idea? Is it the well defined plan or well defined unmet need? Okay, let's do a screen validation. Okay, so a well defined unmet need is the first step in the product innovation, right? If you see here, this statement addresses the question, right? And how do you frame the problem statement? By identifying what and why should not be vague, it should not point to a solution, and it must go to the root cause. So the correct answer for this particular question would be option number D, which is having a well-defined unmet need. All right, this is the correct answer. Okay. So we have completed our set of 10 questions. As of now, if there is any doubt, concern, query, you can uh, let me know now. You can unmute and speak and talk. Meanwhile, these were the questions that had been posted in the discussion forum, and we have responded to them through the discussion forum. But at the same time, we have also compiled them in our presentation, right? So we have learner query and the comments which I have replied to. So the question was about entrepreneurship, and this was followed by certain questions on the product-based startups, service-based startups, as well as how one can become a successful entrepreneur. And then lately there were questions around language limitations, for which we have said that you can please write your concern to support at the rate nptl dot iit dot m dot ac dot in, and then what would be covered in the live session, and how critical is having a co-founder which is actually a team member, and how do you go about identifying a good co-founder. So I think all these things were discussed in the previous live session, and we don't have any further new questions on discussion forum, which we'll actually see very quickly. So with this we end our problem solving session. What I'll do is I'll just quickly save a PDF of it, so that we can upload in the drive and it is there for everyone, and we can it can be there for everyone as a reference, because that's what is also very critical as part of the mandate. And then eventually we'll upload the live session as well on YouTube, right? So those are the things which are expected now. And meanwhile, it's happening. What I'll do is I'll quickly open up the NPTEL portal, and I'll show you a quick uh, call to action buttons over there. Just in case you have not been able to explore some of them, it will be helpful for you. So meanwhile, it is, I think it's still saving. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly hop on to this particular page. And if you see, we have gone, our week 5 date is deadline, which I've already mentioned, is 4 days from now, which is 26th of Feb. And these are the 10 questions. Please do submit them. And then you have week 6. So week 6 content is already live, right? It's not live. And if you see, there's a video on chair, Herman Miller chair. It's a 40-50 minutes video from the course labs, right? And then there is another lecture, which is lecture number 13. And
University, and
so
of course, Master of Design. Very.
this is about creating user experience design.
So let me quickly
This
introduce you to my students. Dayan is a seasoned
and
enterprise product.
right. So I think he's from the F1 studio, and he also brings along a rich experience and learnings
Call it
which you can
the
refer
onset.
to. And then you have the week 6 assignment, right? Uh, it's due for 5th of March. So you still have time around it. And apart from that, the study material is available, lecture notes are available, problem solving sessions are available. So if you click here, you'll be reaching click here page. And the moment you click here, you come onto a spreadsheet. So you see here the YouTube video links for each week, followed by the drive location. If you click here, you'll be able to see the PDF versions for till week 4. And today we'll upload the week 5 one as well, right? So that will also be visible. And this is me as your TA, the ID and the Vedic attendance, right? And let's go back to our screen now. I'll stop sharing. Yeah. So if anybody wants to share anything, if you have any comment, you want to share your experience, you can do it. Otherwise, we'll close the day for today. It has been, although 2 hours is a little intense because of the continuous sitting. Yes. But then I feel, covering all the aspects which we have seen in this particular presentation, right from the protocol slides till the content recap, capturing the most of the screens. It's an effort from my end as well, but I think it really helps the learner, especially in attempting the questions which they saw the list of 10 questions, as well as just brushing up and revising what all have they gone through in the previous week. So likewise, we'll continue the same format for the remaining of our classes, and I hope so you like the set of 10 questions. uh, the benefit is that you also understand what are the different typology of questions one can might get, right? So these are all potential questions. You might see them in your examination. So I would recommend that, before going for your final examination, you should refer to both the sets. The one which is there on the NPTEL as live assignments, because the moment you are done with the deadline, you will be able to see the correct responses as well, right? So once you are able to see the correct responses, you will get to know the right answers. So prepare those questions well. And at the same time, when you get time, please also go through the content of these live sessions. And if you don't have time for the entire video content to be gone through, what you can do is you can just either you can play the video in 2x mode and quickly you can browse up, or you can refer to the PDF content. So the PDF versions which we upload, I think that can also be helpful, and it can be great learning experience for you. Well, thank you, Samyukta. Thank you. Thank you for being there and being one of the consistent learners in this particular course, because perseverance is very, very important. Being consistent is very important. And I believe that you have been participating well. You have been engaging in all these set of 10 questions. I wish you all the best for your final examination. And I'm sure that, we'll be celebrating once the results come out. You'll perform better. That's my sincere wishes. And, I hope the same for you. So we can close the session for now. And thank you so much for being there, for participating in these sessions, and for being the soul of these sessions. Because ultimately, it's about how well you are understanding, how much you are able to gain from these sessions. The idea is to help the learner in whichever way we can, and if you are able to attain your final outcome, your motive, I think our job is done, right? So with that, we'll close the session for today. Thank you so much. Thanks once again. Namaste. And what we will do is we'll stop the recording as well.